Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. Joining me, of course, here, sitting right now, is Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, and it's a birthday today of sorts, is it not?
Dude, it is a big birthday. 60 years ago today in UK cinemas, we first heard the first phrase ever that has gone on to cinema history. What? First phrase ever? I don't even know what I'm saying. What I want to say, though, is 3 words. Bond, James Bond. It is the 60th anniversary, 60th birthday of Dr. No.
Which is?
The very first James Bond movie.
Yep.
And 60 years ago today in UK cinemas, as a matter of fact, the official Bond Twitter channel, released a cool video of all the times Bond said Bond, James Bond in all of the James Bond movies, all the way up through No Time to Die.
That's cool. That's cool.
Neat.
So happy birthday to James Bond. Speaking of birthdays, it's not hers, but Chris Carr is here anyway.
It's
Chris,
like a birthday for everyone.
It's a birthday here.
Yay!
I'm sitting next to a Disney princess.
Oh, thanks, Rob.
That's right, with like the Belle outfit.
I feel like Belle today. I like it a lot. Oh, man, I'm so happy James Bond is 60. I watch James Bond movies every Thanksgiving with my husband. That's our tradition.
Well, there you go.
Oh, yay, Bond.
And joining you guys in the live chat back here, he's going to be competing a little bit later in an over-under game. He is the reigning champion.
The reigning.
One. Defending.
And Rob hates it.
Undisputed over-under champion.
in Rob's face.
Look, any way you can get value in your life, I'm all for that, right?
Well, you know what's high value right here? Can you see that on camera?
Is that your Damon?
Prince Damon is finally in the studio. Represent until he does something really dicky.
With Rhaenyra on top. Makes sense.
Also joining us, running the show today, producer Jonathan Boyko is here. Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm just catching my breath, man. Since people only knew how close of a show this was.
Yeah, but we got there. We got it under the wire.
Flare.
And most importantly, guys, you are here joining us. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it down into 2 parts. In the first half, I'm sorry.
Come on,
They
Chris,
got you?
spoilers.
In the first half of the show,
Spoilers.
we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half, all I want is for you to stop my brother effing my daughter. That's all I want. That's it. I'm done. I lost my train of thought. Then we'll take live questions in the second half of the show. Okay. Anyway, guys, I want to let you guys know that a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time, we're going to be having our Andor Episode 5 open spoiler discussion. Spoiler alert, I thought it was the best episode of the season so far. We'll talk more about that in today's show, but we're going to go in a full open spoiler discussion of it a little bit later today at 3 p.m. We hope you guys will come back and join us for that. Okay, guys, listen, we got an absolutely packed show, so let's dive right into it. Some off the tops. And we're going to start our off the tops with this. Filed under doomed movie projects. A while ago, Todd McFarlane came out and said they're going to remake Spawn. And they made a lot of waves right at first. I think this is 3 years ago, maybe more. Anyway, they made some big splashes when they said that Jamie Foxx had signed on and Jeremy Renner had signed on. There was a problem, though. Todd McFarlane insisted that he, who is not a director and has never directed anything, was going to direct. This, of course, predictably, caused a lot of studios and distributors and financiers to go, really? Are you sure we can't get somebody else to direct? And, there have been roadblocks and roadblocks and roadblocks because Todd McFarlane has expressed a lot of frustration that he can't get these financiers on board because of whatever problems with the script, whatever. Well, they've taken a step to try to remedy that by bringing in some fairly heavy hitters, including the writer of Captain America 4 New World Order and the writer of Joker to come on board. This comes to us from the folks over at Joe Blow, who said the following. Who's up for a game of superhero musical chairs? Blumhouse's Spawn is making moves today by revealing that the new team of writers assigned to the long gestating reboot, signing their souls over to Satan to pen the screenplay, is a trio of creators, including Scott Silver, who was one of the screenwriters on The Joker, Malcolm Spellman, who is one of the writers on Captain America New World Order, and Matthew Mixam, who I'm not familiar with, who wrote Yesterday Was Everything. So this is now getting some movement. Or, Rob, let me ask you this. Is this a sign that this thing is actually going to happen? This thing is now moving? Or is this a Todd McFarlane Hail Mary toss, like going big to try to bring in some legit, credible writers to try to get a script in place that financiers will go, yes, let's do this, even though Todd McFarlane is going to direct it? What do you think is going to happen here?
I don't think this movie's going to get made. I mean, I think this is great. These writers, great. It's always good to have a great script. I just think that this character of Spawn, and by the way, just so you know, full disclosure, I bought the first issues of Spawn. Spawn was really the first Image comic out of the gate. Todd McFarlane did a really good job of making sure the comic was published on time. And then he slowly built up his toy company out of that. So I have mad respect for Todd McFarlane as a creator. The first Spawn movie was one of the movies I've hated the most of all.
You don't like clown demon John Leguizamo?
I don't, and I feel terrible because I was on a TV show with Mark DePay, the director, who was wonderful in the new ILM documentary, and I was mean to him. I didn't pull any punches, so Mark DePay, I am sorry about our appearance on Sci-Fi Vortex together, but really didn't like your film. Appreciated his attempt, but I don't think anybody cares about Spawn at this point. Great animated series.
Yes.
Really like the animated series. But who cares?
Chris, so question to you. What do you think about the bringing on the new writers? And does this movie get made now? And does it get made with or without McFarlane in the director's chair?
I mean, I don't know if it should be made with him in the director's chair, but everyone has to make their first film to become like a known director, right? So maybe Todd could do a great job on this. I think that since he is so close to the source material as its creator, though, he should have somebody else in there, at least co-directing or something, so we can kind of have a little less blinders on. You know, sometimes when it's your vision, you kind of lose sight of what you need to do when you're transferring mediums. I'm so glad you brought up the animated series, though, because that was rad. And I really don't feel like we need a live action Spawn. There's really cool stories, right? Like Resurrection, Blood Feud, all of those are really, really rad in the comics. But I don't think this translates well to live action because it usually does. Well, I say usually. The film ended up in such a campy place that I don't think ends up working because it's a really cool, gritty, dark story that I think needs a grittier director at the helm. Maybe it could work, but I don't see it working outside of live action or live
John,
animation.
The Spirit?
I was going to say, somebody mentioned in the chat, hey, listen, if nobody is better to direct a film version of a beloved graphic novel than its creator. The Spirit?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Fred Tiller did not
to
create The Spirit.
No.
But
but we direct your attention to someone like the guy. I mean, yeah.
But Frank Miller didn't do a good job.
I mean, the thing is, Todd McFarlane is a very dynamic visual artist. I mean, I remember first seeing his work on DC's Invasion comics, and then he moved over to Spider-Man. I mean, his Spider-Man, and they started a whole new Spider-Man comic around his artwork. It's incredible. He's an incredible visual stylist, but can he make a movie?
Yeah, and I don't know why, if you're Todd McFarlane at this point, like if you're going to go out and get these writers, why not actually go out and get a real director?
I agree with you 100%.
Go get a real director. Anyway, who knows? Listen, stranger things have happened. And this is definitely, if you're somebody who's looking forward to another shot at Spawn, bringing on this caliber of writers is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to another off the top, and that is this. You know, when we were at CinemaCon all the way back in April, I think it was, we saw previews and footage and scenes from a lot of different projects. One of the ones that made me scratch my head a lot was one for an upcoming Christmas-themed movie, Violent Night, with David Harbour as a very violent Santa Claus. Now, here's the thing. We have seen a number of movies that have already done this shtick. Like, who was the professional wrestler? The big undefeated professional wrestler, bald head.
Goldberg?
Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg did an evil Santa movie. There was another one that was like an evil Santa movie or something like it. It's been done. So they showed us a preview for it at CinemaCon, and I never didn't really know what to think about it. This seems to me like a really stupid idea. I love David Harbour. Like even that awful Hellboy movie, I thought he was pretty good in it. I like him a lot. But I will admit, watching the trailer, there are moments in this trailer. You know what it looks like? It looks like a Saturday Night Live fake commercial trailer. It totally did. When you watch a trailer, put your mindset in this thing is, I'm watching Saturday Night Live, and this is one of the fake commercials. That's what it looks like. But that said, there were glimpses and moments in this trailer.
And it makes me want to see it now.
that made me go, maybe. Because what do I say about comedy all the time? If you make me laugh, everything else is fine. It doesn't matter if you do everything else wrong, if you make me laugh. And I will admit, this trailer, I had a few guffaws watching this trailer.
I did too.
So I know, Rob, you had a chance to see the trailer for Violent Night. What do you think?
I'm with you, man. I laughed a few times. I mean, there's a novel called Santa Steps Out by Robert Devereaux that it's hard R, very different, that I've wanted to see made. But I don't see I never saw a clear path to getting that movie made. But this R-rated Santa, hyper violent, I'm in, man. I chuckled. Who doesn't like this kind of a thing? I think it could be great. And I like the clever, like he pulls out the computer display. Oh, you're nice.
You're on the nice
You're on the
list.
nice
Yeah.
list. I liked all that.
All these guys are on my naughty list.
Yeah.
That's the part that I went, this is totally Saturday Night Live. But still, there was some funny parts in there. What did you think about it, Chris?
I love this actually. This is ridiculous. I'm also just a total sucker for David Harbour. I'll see anything he does. I would watch him read the Yellow Pages. I think he's wonderful. And I love that this is just gritty Santa Die Hard. I'm so excited about it. And John Leguizamo, I will see anything with John Leguizamo as well. With him as the baddie in this, I'm really excited.
Even Spawn again? Did you sit down and watch Spawn again?
Spawn is honestly a guilty pleasure of mine. It's so bad, but I love watching that movie. I'll even watch Super Mario Brothers. Like, I love him.
Even his coat, it's leather, so it's a little more like tough guy. It's not. Notice that it's not like a wool or something like that.
So is this a Christmas movie, John?
You know what? I didn't even notice when the release date is.
December 2nd.
Okay, but this is clearly everything is about a central iconic figure of Christmas. This is not Die Hard. This is a Christmas movie, whereas Die Hard is not. But anyway, question is for you guys. What did you think of the Violent Night trailer? I'm a little bit on the fence. I did not have positive thoughts about this movie, but I will admit this trailer, it did make me laugh. And if the movie can make me laugh the way the trailer did, then I'll be all for it. And I love David Harbour. How do you guys feel about it? Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. Andor is... I am firmly in the camp that Andor is my favorite thing on television that Star Wars has done. I like it more than Mandalorian, and I love Mandalorian. But, from the first time I saw Andor, I was like, this is not Disney Plus. This is HBO.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is high-level writing. This is character drama. This is multi-dimensional individuals. This is incredible storyline and gripping drama without needing explosions all over the place or lightsabers or quick cameos or anything like that. It's just great, amazing drama. And I told you going into episode 5, I said, this is where the heist starts to come together. And I will tell you what, and again, we're going to have our open spoiler discussion of Andor season 3 or episode 5 at 3 p.m. later this afternoon, Los Angeles time. But I honestly think this was the best episode of the season so far. They do a number of things. They do some high level, like story narrative handling in this that is incredibly good. They tell us volumes of information with simple glances and imagery that they give. They do an amazing job of reference and then callback. They give depth to every single one of the characters in this thing, from various members of this ragtag group to the turncoat Imperial officer, all the way to, I always forget Stellan Skarsgård's name, Luthen. Like there's a scene with Luthen who's just standing there, I won't spoil anything, but standing there just kind of doing something. But we are seeing deep into the character in that thing and seeing elements of his emotions and his mental state at the time that didn't need to have 3 pages of dialogue to explain it. Visited again that disgraced corporate officer who had to go home to his mama.
Cyril.
At the end of the last episode. There's a scene in this where he just is giving a look at something that, again, pages of dialogue. Other storytellers would have needed pages and pages and pages of dialogue to tell us something about this character. And Tony Gilroy told it all in a moment with the way he just looked at something. And I won't say what the something is, but the credits rolled on this episode, and I was like, how can they pull this off? This is so next level storytelling. Star Wars has never done anything like this. I'm not saying Star Wars has never had anything better, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, but I'm just saying they've never done something like this. And I am ludicrously in love with this show at this point, and wait till you see episode 6. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to watch this episode of Andor. Am I overly excited about it? How do you feel about it?
Dude, I echo your sentiments. I mean, I have to say, I never thought in my wildest dreams, we were talking about this before the show started, this episode opens with Cyril confronting his mom at the breakfast table when he's literally eating sugar pops or
And
whatever.
you cannot, with blue milk,
With blue milk.
and you cannot take your eyes off the screen.
No, and his
It's a dude
mother
talking to his mom.
But his mother is like, everything about this character because of his mom. This domineering, but she wasn't stereotypical, but she was, she's a, I'm going to call the uncle, our uncle. And, but you don't know him that well. It doesn't matter.
Let's not go into details.
But it was such a great, I recognize that mother. Let me put it that way. And we've never seen domestic. Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, we saw Luke in there talking, but not like this. Like, we're getting, what is life like in the Star Wars universe? Because we've always seen the heroes or the villains. We've never seen a slice of life. And that's what we're getting. And oh my God, there's domineering mothers everywhere, apparently. Mm-hmm. And I'm there for it.
Chris, one of the other things I loved was, I mentioned before that I loved when we went to the ISB, when we went to the Imperial Security Bureau and the white suits and stuff like that. We go back to that. They have their own mystery they're unraveling. And it's just like every level of this. I know you had a chance to see the new episode. What did you think about it?
There's such a good line in that scene too about that casework.
Oh, yes. We'll talk about that in the spoiler discussion. Yeah, the line is amazing.
Good. Oh, I really enjoyed this. I love that we're getting the heist set up and everything, right? We're just building and building and building. This ragtag group, I am so invested in already, and I know I shouldn't be. My heart's going to get broken. So it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much depth to these characters and they've done it in such a short amount of time. I understand their viewpoints. I sympathize with some of them. I understand where everyone's coming from. The familial dynamics in this episode too, particularly when it comes to mothers, is so interesting. And there's so many fun parallels.
I love her. Oh, if the whole episode was just the dude and his mom talking,
oh my gosh,
at a breakfast table, I would still have been. I'd still be sitting there.
Just bossy
now.
Mom and blue-eyed Ben Schwartz. I'd watch that show.
And then how about Mon Mothma?
Well,
exactly.
But again, they deepen our understanding of Mon Mothma and the stuff going on in her life. Mm-hmm. I mean,
there were a few things missing in that scene that I'd been promised in a way that had occurred off screen that I wish we had more of.
Right. And we'll discuss that more later. But, I'll say this too. I remember a couple of weeks before Andor came out, and we were talking about the upcoming show, and I said, look, you always want your next installment of anything to be good. But I said, coming off of the disappointment that was the Book of Boba Fett, and coming off of, to me, the disappointment of Obi-Wan. I didn't hate Obi-Wan, but I was disappointed in it. Some people loved it, and that's awesome. But for me, coming off the disappointments of Book of Boba Fett and the disappointments of Obi-Wan, it's like, Star Wars really needs this one to be a win. And it was almost like, okay, that sounds like a challenge. I've knocked it out of the park. And I continue to be floored by it every single time. And I cannot wait to get into the second half of the season. We're not even halfway through the season. That's the great thing about this.
I have a question because I haven't watched the episode yet. I'll do it in a little while after the show. But is that square and triangle what I think it might be, or is that just like...
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Listen, when you actually go back, there have been tons of stuff online about going through his shop and little things. Like even Gungan electric shields is in the background. And if you go through all the different shots and angles, there's always some Easter eggs in there. It's like its own game unto itself. Anyway, we all loved this episode of Andor. Question is for you guys. What did you think about it? Maybe like, hey, listen, maybe you go to Star Wars and you're looking for the spaceships, lasers, and laser swords. And listen, that's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're looking for. And this show isn't delivering that, so that's fine. But or maybe you're like us and you just want to see some like really great drama brought into the world of Star Wars. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do one more off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. You know, one of the bigger stories of the last couple of years in the world of filmmaking, you know, horribly reminiscent of what happened with Brandon Lee in The Crow, was, of course, the death on set of the cinematographer of the Western movie Rust. That was starring Alec Baldwin, who's also a producer on it, and Jensen Ackles of Supernatural was also in that. And Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer, was accidentally shot when somehow a live round of ammunition made its way onto a set and made its way into a gun, and she ended up dying. Now, of course, lawsuits happened after that, but this morning it has been announced that Rust is actually going to resume filming, and all lawsuits have been settled in the matter. And I got to tell you, I'm really surprised. I'll talk about my surprise here in a second, but the folks over at IndieWire wrote this. We have reached a settlement subject to court approval. This is Helena's husband speaking. We have reached a settlement subject to court approval for our wrongful death case against the producers of Rust, including Alec Baldwin and the Rust Movie Productions. As a part of that settlement, our case will now be dismissed. Hutchins said in a statement via Deadline, the filming of Rust, which I will now executive produce, will resume with all the original principal players on board in January 2023. Hutchins added this. I have no interest in engaging recriminations or attributions of blame to Mr. Baldwin or the producers. All of us believe that Helena's death was a terrible accident. I am grateful that the producers and the entertainment community have come together to pay tribute to Helena's final work. And then the director of the film went on to say that he simply wouldn't do the rest of the movie if they didn't have the blessing of the family. So a couple of key takeaways, but then one big thing for me. Key takeaway number one, you know, the husband's saying, listen, I don't blame the producers. I don't blame Alec Baldwin. We all acknowledge this was a terrible accident. And I think that's probably very healing for him. It's probably very healing for everybody else involved, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, that's great. I really respect that the director said we wouldn't continue on with this production without the permission and the blessings of the family. I thought that was really key. I think it's really interesting that they have brought on the widower as now an executive producer on the movie itself. So they'll have some influence over the rest of the film, which is now his late wife's lasting legacy as her final project. I will say this though, while all of that is great, and it is great, I don't mean that sarcastically, that is all wonderful stuff. And it's about as good of a conclusion as you could probably hope could come out of this. I don't think I continue making this movie. I mean, in all honesty, who's going to watch this movie? I know I won't. And not out of principle. I'm not saying, no, I refuse to watch. No, it's just that I don't think I could bring myself to watch it. Like, I feel very awkwardly about it. I think there's going to be a lot of people that feel very awkwardly about the film. Now, again, at the same time, maybe the studio didn't want to do it. Like, if you're the studio and you think, yeah, we're just going to cut our losses and we're not going to finish this movie. But if the husband says, hey, man, my wife died making this movie, you're going to finish it. Well, what are you going to do? Say no? But again, I'm making that up, by the way. I'm totally making that. I'm pulling that out of my ass. I'm just making up hypothetical situations here. It does seem odd to me that they're going to continue making the movie. But then again, maybe that was a point of view. Maybe one of the points of view was, you know what? Helena died doing the career she loved. She died making this movie. We are going to finish this. I mean, and you know what? More power to them if that's the thing. I just feel weird about it. But I don't know. Chris, you hear about this outcome. It sounds like they were all on the same page together. It sounds like there's been some healing that's happening. That's the most important thing. What do you think about this report and the fact that they're going to continue on and finish this movie?
I mean, I'm glad they all have come to a conclusion that works all for them. And it sounds like they also were really thinking about Helena's son while they were doing all of this and trying to make sure that, you know, this sets up his future properly, and that he has a legacy that is, honoring his mother. I understand too, a cinematographer is such an integral part of a film. I mean, it really is their masterpiece with the director that they're putting together. So Helena's vision in this, I'm sure her husband wanted to see. I'm sure he wants their son to be able to see this film later. So I understand why they would want to do this movie. I intellectually understand that. Emotionally, though, it does feel a little uncomfortable. Just because this was such a tragedy, it feels like willful negligence that the weapons master allowed this to happen. And that's a whole other conversation too. But it does still feel odd to move forward with the film. But I'm not part of this crew, and I'm not part of this cast. And I'm sure for a lot of the people involved in this is something that will give them closure and healing. And I hope that they all get that out of this.
By the way, total tinfoil hat thing here. I have nothing. This is all me. This is just my own tinfoil hat thing. I don't believe for a second that there wasn't deliberate sabotage in this. A live round of ammunition does not accidentally end up on a set. I'm acknowledging this is total tinfoil hat. I am not basing that on anything. I just have a hard time believing that. Hey, right, Ray?
The loss that the whole crew suffered is terrible, but I just want there to be some sort of prevention that comes out of this from happening again. That's the most important to me, I think. Other than that's all I wanted to bring up. Does this ruling teach us, or can we learn from something like this?
Well, a lot of people have talked about just not even having the blank rounds on set anymore.
Right.
We do so much work in post-production too. Why do we need to be having the guns going off in any way, shape, or form? Because you do usually have to go through rigorous stunt training between the two. Even if you're not the stunt actor, if you are Alec Baldwin in this case, the person getting the gun, your weapons master brings this to you. You walk through everything. You usually do test runs of this. That's part of why this is such a head-scratching calamity of how did this go so wrong. But it's also happened with blanks before, as we've seen in close proximity. So a lot of people are campaigning to not have them at all on set.
That's why on this, I remember the showrunner for The Rookie, the Nathan Fillion show, after this happened, said, no, we are using these new types of things that it's just all air.
Yep.
And it does this and this and creates a recoil, and we'll add the rest in post. It's easy, it's quick, and it's safe. Anyway, Rob, it's good that this is being brought to a conclusion. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the statements, and what do you think about them going forward and finishing the movie off?
Well, throughout Hollywood history, there have been accidents on sets,
yes,
not just involving guns, but stunt people, and people have perished in the quest.
I think as recently as Deadpool 2, didn't a stunt woman die in Deadpool 2?
And it happens. And I think, look, at the end of the day, you would hope that if nothing else, this film turns out to be good.
Yeah.
And that it will live on, and the work that people do will, I hope that all of our works transcend us, and I think that this film, I think it should be, because it's not just a cinematographer who lost their lives, it's everyone else that worked on the film too. If their work was all for naught, then I really feel that this finished film is an accomplishment, and it stands for something. And if it's a good movie, hopefully it will inspire people for decades to come. And I think that's all you can hope for, really.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Again, taking the continuation of the filming of the movie, I think this is clearly the best, most holistic outcome you could have hoped for out of this, and everybody seems to be moving forward. And how do you feel about them continuing to shoot the movie? It's clearly what the family wants. So how do you guys feel about this? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we go any further, we're going to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of today's video. I'm wearing them right now. Comfy as hell. Our friends at MeUndies. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, MeUndies. Now, guys, I admit for all my life, I have been a low quality underwear wearing kind of guy. I always just got the cheapest pack of underwear I could find because I never really thought about it. Well, that all changed when I started wearing MeUndies. They are simply the softest and most comfortable underwear I have ever owned, and I will never go back. And guys, spooky season is here, and so is the latest Halloween collection by MeUndies. Warning though, it's scary soft. MeUndies is back with a new limited edition prints like Jack Attack, Nobody Like You, and spell it out. So go on and grab undies, socks, bralettes, and more made from their feels like you have nothing on micromodal fabric. And if you need a last-minute costume, be lazy and transform into a spooky skeleton with their loungewear set, Lazy Bones. Guys, the scary soft hype is real. If you're not impressed with MeUndies, your first pair is on us. That's a promise. To get 20% off your first order and free standard shipping on US orders, go to MeUndies.com/Campea. That's MeUndies.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at MeUndies for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move into the newest segment here on the show, our Mint Mobile Hotline Question of the Day. Do you guys want to hear yourself asking a question on the show? Well, you have an opportunity. Simply call the hotline at 951-268-4259. Leave your question in a voicemail there, and maybe you'll hear it read on the show. So, Jonathan, what's our Mint Mobile Hotline question today?
Hi, John. Just first I want to say that I'm a giant fan. I've been following you since I was literally in high school. So, yeah, my name is Anthony Hernandez. And I just want to ask that, like, what do you think the new Deadpool is going to turn out with Hugh Jackman being there? Because do you think it's going to ruin Wolverine's legacy that we finished off on Logan? Or do you think it's going to be untouched? That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in. And you know what? I'm actually really surprised. Coming out of the glorious news of Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine in Deadpool 3. I mean, it was a global celebration, Mankind came together. I mean, it was an amazing day. Now, out of that day, though, there will always be naysayers. And pretty soon I started seeing social media, a lot of people posting memes and whatever about they're ruining, like, they showed something of like a Disney, except they put Disney exec over the face and they were literally dancing on a grave and they put Logan on the grave and they were like,
Whoa.
like, yeah, like people,
Wow,
like some
man,
people
it ain't that
really,
intense.
they went like hardcore. They're like
jeez.
really upset that this is ruining the ending of Logan and all this kind of stuff. And does this, because listen, people like me, I without hesitation, I believe Logan is a top 3 greatest comic book film ever made. And I still believe that today. And a lot of people cherish that film and are thinking, look, that was the perfect ending to this character. Is suddenly throwing him back out there in Deadpool 3 going to sully that legacy and ruin and take away that our last memory of Logan was this amazingly beautiful project of perfection. And I get that, but there are 2 big things to me, well, actually 3, that I want to cover here quickly. That why I don't believe Deadpool 3 is going to hurt or touch the legacy of Logan. Number one, as you know, Ryan Reynolds said himself in the second video, he said, you know, Logan takes place in 2029, which is further in the future than what's happening, than the events of Deadpool 3 are going to happen. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is this. James Mangold, the director of Logan, always said that this is not really in universe. It's like the Wolverine movie takes place in its own kind of reality with some similarities to the X-Men films that we had seen before. And by the way, there was never any real continuity in the X-Men films. We always, of course, talked about in the hallowed halls of 20th century, chiseled in stone on the walls are X-Men, continuity, schmontinuity. And it was a philosophy that worked for them. But James Mangold, so the Deadpool we're going to see the Wolverine we're going to see in Deadpool 3, I think we have to start tuning our brains as not the exact same Wolverine that we saw in Logan. My third point is, even if he was, it's Deadpool. Like, it's almost like saying they made a mockery out of Colossus in Deadpool. Did they make a little bit of a mockery out of Colossus in Deadpool? Of course they did a bit. Of course, he was awesome in it. But we all knew that's not the real Colossus. And this is a comedy. I mean, they opened the door in the mansion to see a bunch of the X-Men cast in it. Do we really think that was the actual X-Men? It's a comedy. It's a lark. So for that reasons and many more, I understand the question. I do. But I think there are several thick layers of insulation protecting the legacy of Logan, regardless of what happens in Deadpool 3. But that's just my take on it. Rob, this is a question we've kind of struggled with a little bit ever since the big announcement. How would you address the question?
I don't see how one affects the other at all. like Logan is Logan. You just because there's another Wolverine movie with Deadpool doesn't affect. I'm not going to feel less moved when Professor X shows up in Multiverse of Madness. I didn't go, oh well, his death in Logan's been now negated by his performance as an alternate from whatever dimension, whatever universe 858 or whatever. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Does No Time to Die sully my memory of Roger Moore's James Bond? No. I mean, I think it's fine. But I mean, I understand. Here's the thing. I get that we are now living in a world where there is a continuity in people's minds. And just like I hated when Chris Pine played Captain Kirk. I'm like, there's one Captain Kirk. It's William Shatner.
Oh my gosh, did you find a Star Trek comparison here?
How rare.
But yes, it's the same thing. I mean, I think it's fine. Logan, nothing is going to diminish the power and the greatness of that movie, of Logan. Nothing. If anything, it'll bring a whole new generation of people into seeing Wolverine in a different way and if you're 8 years old and maybe your first experience is going to be, if you have good parents, Deadpool and Wolverine together.
Little baby Tommy, this is going to be his first Wolverine.
You've got a lifelong fan, and imagine when that poor kid gets to Logan. It's going to hit him even harder.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think? Look, is there a possibility here, though, that and I'm not rejecting the question out of hand, but do you think there is a possibility here that Deadpool 3 could kind of maybe sully that legacy in the way everybody remembers the Logan character?
I mean, for certain people, sure. But also you can just go back and watch that movie. You can go back and watch Logan whenever you friggin' want to, right? Ryan Reynolds is in talks to do a remake of Clue. If that sucks, I can always go back and watch Maddie Kahn and be like, oh, I feel safe. This is nice. If you've watched the relationship between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds on Twitter just blossom over the years, how can you not be excited about this? How can you not want these two interacting with each other, potentially just murdering each other constantly throughout the film? I feel like it's going to be fun, and I don't think it's going to affect the heartbreak and the gravitas that we got from Logan, which is one of the best, if not the best, comic book film of all time.
By the way, if they don't do a riff on the AMC ad to promote Deadpool 3...
It's played out now. Because Saturday Night Live did it, Chucky did it.
Yeah, but they'll
Deadpool
do it the best.
Does original fresh stuff. I don't see, now that it's been done a bunch of times.
I just want to see it.
I mean, yeah, but it's a little tired now, even though I do like them a lot. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, obviously, everybody's initial reaction is, oh my God, Wolverine's come back and it's going to be in Deadpool 3. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds together. But, I mean, some people have some concerns about it. Do you share those concerns? Maybe you think that it's totally safe and isolated from that. However you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, let's now move into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy. You guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
This one comes from Devin Monroe. Hey, John, fellow fan of Yellowstone here. Did you see the Deadline article that said the season 5 trailer for Yellowstone has shattered streaming records with over 14 million views of the trailer in the first 24 hours, which more than tripled the viewings of the season 4 trailer?
Jeez.
What do you attribute this kind of growth to? And do you think it makes an argument for it being the best show on TV? Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in, Devin. Okay. Let me address the last question you asked. Does the 14 million views in the first 24 hours of a streaming show's trailer, does that cement its place as the best show on television? No. Views does not equal quality. Let's be clear about that. I mean, it can suggest quality, sure, but we've seen lots and lots and lots of highly viewed things that are not very good and a lot of extremely small viewed things that are maybe the best things out there. So no, it doesn't. Even as a Yellowstone fan, it does not. But you already know I think Yellowstone is the best show on TV. What do I attribute this massive jump, like tripling the views of the season? It's simply this. Yellowstone was a show that had to go for a couple seasons before a lot of people in the world started to catch on just how good it was. I was one of them. I was not on board with Yellowstone for the first season and a half or 2 seasons. I had to go back and get caught up. And I think, while not everybody thinks Yellowstone's the best show on TV, there are a lot of people like me who do, and a lot of us were late adopters. And I think the longer this show goes, more and more people are hearing about it, tuning into it, and falling in love with it. This show is brilliant. And the trailer for the next season, like just starting right off the bat in the trailer of John Dutton, Kevin Costner swearing in as the governor of Montana. I mean, it's delicious. And when you know this, these are some of the best characters on television. His daughter in the show is a top 3 best character on television. Her husband, Rip, in the show is a top 4 or 5 best character on television. Kevin Costner's John Dutton is a top 5 best character. I think 3 of the top 5 best characters on TV right now are in Yellowstone. So I attribute it to the fact that this is a show that was on a very small network, right? That a lot of people didn't even have. It's very slowly started to grow in popularity. And I think you're now seeing that taking off. Anyway, Rob, we see these numbers here. Why do you think we're seeing this exponential growth in the popularity of the show?
Well, I think you nailed it. It's a great show. And not only is it a great show, but it's even its prequel. Like, I loved 1883. I thought that was great. We're getting another prequel in the 20s, the 1920s. I think this is the kind of show, and I'll tell you something else about this. This is a very American show. It's as much about America, the closest thing. We talked about Westerns the other day. Have Westerns gone out of style?
Yeah, here you go.
There it is. I mean, this is The Godfather meets The Searchers, or to take your pick, The Wild Bunch, whatever your favorite Western is. How Green Was My Valley, My Darling Clementine, whatever. Those aren't all Westerns. But hey, you know what I mean. And I think that this show is really tapped into the American zeitgeist. I mean, it's great for everybody, but there's nothing like this on TV. And Sheridan's writing and this show, like you said, great characters, great story. Actors are great, really well done. And the stakes have risen every season.
Yep. They find a way to ranch it up.
Yeah, they ratchet it up, man. And I'm telling you, the tension, it's good. I didn't start watching this until you started espousing the virtues of it, and it's really, really good. And so was 1883. Like, I loved 1883. I love this show.
This is both The Godfather and Sons of Anarchy with cowboys.
Yes,
that's what the show is. Anyway, guys, question is for you: do you watch Yellowstone? Even if you don't, what do you think is the responsible for this incredible explosion of popularity with the show? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one comes from Victor. Hey, John and team. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I was one of the people who was really excited to hear about Bad Bunny playing El Muerto for Sony. Unlike the Bro situation, by putting the one of the biggest global superstars in the lead role, it guarantees it will get loads of attention. And now I'm even more excited because they're saying the writer for Blue Beetle, which WB seems to have a lot of confidence in, is now writing El Muerto. Wondering what you guys think.
All right. Thanks a lot, Victor. And yeah, going back to CinemaCon, they surprised everybody. When at CinemaCon during the Sony presentation, they brought Bad Bunny out on stage, who is like the #1 recording artist in the world right now. And they put up on the screen all these Spotify records. He owns like every major Spotify record and all this kind of nonsense. I honestly didn't even realize he was that big. Which is me.
The LA had Bad Bunny Day last week. He played SoFi. Yep. It was a big deal.
Huge deal. And they brought him out on stage at CinemaCon, which a lot of people in that stadium were very, very excited when they did. And they announced that he was going to be the lead in El Muerto. And of course, the fact that they're making this movie is a huge deal. I mean, this is great. It's going to be the first Marvel Latino lead character that any Marvel character has ever had. So, I mean, that's exciting. That's great. I was not thrilled with the selection of Bad Bunny as the lead because there are no Latino actors who have actually dedicated themselves to the art of acting and who are actually really good actors. None of them exist, huh? Really? You just got to go with the singer. Now, I then went to go see Bullet Train. I saw Bullet Train after that. And of course, Bad Bunny's in that. It was a small role, not a lot of dialogue, but he was all right. He was okay. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I am still very, very questioning the selection here. But you do raise a great point. We were just talking yesterday about the flopping of Bros. And one of the culprits there was that nobody knew anybody who was in the movie. A lot of people didn't know anybody who's in that movie. So to an average movie-going audience, they're like, I don't recognize anybody. They ain't going to have that problem with Bad Bunny being the lead in this. So I got to give it that. This will probably bring a hell of a lot more attention to the project. So there is that. Now, as far as bringing on the writer, you're right. This is good news. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. Sony Pictures has put together its filmmaking team for El Muerto, the first Marvel superhero movie headlined by a Latino character. Recording superstar Bad Bunny, who recently made his film debut in Sony's Bullet Train, will star in the project with Giannis Curon, Desierto, I don't know how to pronounce that properly, signed up to direct, and Gareth Dunnett Alcácer, Blue Beetle, writing the script in early development. As is the case with all Sony Marvel films, El Muerto, aka Juan Carlos Estrada Sanchez, originated in the Spider-Man comic universe as an adversary for the web-slinger. Like Venom, Morbius, and the upcoming Kraven the Hunter with Aaron Taylor Johnson, El Muerto will be an anti-hero story focusing on the son of a luchador who stands to inherit the power of the El Muerto. And that, of course, comes as Variety. Listen, I love everything about the description of it. I do question the choice to bring in a non-actor to be the lead of your film. That aside, we have heard really good things about Blue Beetle. Unlike the unfortunate Batgirl saga, everything that we heard coming out of Blue Beetle was complete opposite. Everything we heard coming out of Blue Beetle was everybody's really happy with it. So much so that Warner Brothers promoted the film from going straight to HBO Max to make it theatrical. That tells us they really love the script. If they love the script, Sony took notice and they brought him in. So, hey, listen, if you're somebody who's looking forward to this movie, this is a huge positive, I think. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this, adding the writer of Blue Beetle. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. It really does speak to the confidence of Blue Beetle, too. I mean, that obviously getting greenlit to go into theaters and everything, people are really, really believing in this over at WB. So I think this writer coming on to take this project on is really, really excellent. I'm excited about this movie. And I gotta say, too, Bad Bunny got rave reviews for the 4 episodes he did on Narcos. And the showrunner on that talks about how he is so charismatic and compelling to watch. And I think that he's got the chops. I think this is a great opportunity for him, and I'm really excited. Also, if you haven't checked out a lot of his music videos, super, super fun and really, really fun stuff happening in there. I think he can pull this off.
Rob, what do you think about that? What stands out to you in this story?
Well, the fact that they've decided, I don't understand Sony's what they're making, the Spider-Man movies, but they're so bananas that like I read this and I think I want to see this movie. Like, just to see how it's going to be.
The description is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, luchadors, the El Muerto character, the fact that, I just love that people in the executive suites are going, they have all the Spider-Man universe. They're like, let's do Madam Web. Okay. And now they're going to do this. And like you just said, Chris, Bad Bunny is, I think, a charismatic performer. And I think back to movies like Performance that starred Mick Jagger or David Bowie doing Man Who Fell to Earth. I'm not saying it's going to be like that, but there's a precedent for pop stars doing well in movies.
Hope springs eternal.
Oh, I ain't saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying the batting average is low.
Yes,
that's all I'm saying.
But I think that this I'm excited about this movie.
Hey, you know what? He does a great commercial with Snoop Dogg. Those beer commercials he does with Snoop Dogg are pretty good. Anyway, Ray.
I just wanted to add something real quick. There's all the actors, but then you also have to include his love for wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is
he
for
appeared in
wrestling.
He's so fun on WWE.
Yeah, if they're gonna do wrestling moves, and he's a superstar.
Yeah, this is a luchador family.
And he delivered. He
And
delivered
for a
on
character
WWE.
that's unknown. Bring in one of the biggest stars who can speak Spanish, because he is Spanish,
right?
Who loves
wrestling.
And
All
listen,
those.
that is the one big prop I got to give to this, because again, we were talking about yesterday the problem with Bros. Nobody recognized anybody.
Ugh, go see Bros.
This is a character nobody knows about outside of the hardcore comic nerds. You put Bad Bunny in the lead of this. I mean, listen, from a marketing perspective, it's a no-brainer. It is a brilliant move. I really, you know what they need? I just hope that this director can be like James Gunn with Dave Bautista, that knows how to take, okay, what gifts do you have? And let's really accentuate those gifts, and we'll make sure not to put you in scenarios where your weaknesses are going to be exposed. If this director can do what James Gunn did with John Cena and with Dave Bautista, then it could really work.
Yeah, I agree. I think also Bad Bunny's going to put everything he's got into this.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he's going to go 100% full on.
Sure.
And it's going to be, because you can tell just by, like you pointed out, the TV commercials, the music videos. I mean, he does have a very fun presence in pop culture right now.
He absolutely does. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They got a director. They got the writer of Blue Beetle on. I mean, this has all got to be seen as positive news for this project. How do you feel about it? Are you paying any attention to it? Wherever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This comes from Galactic Champ. Hey, crew. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Black Adam is expecting $70 to $75 million domestic opening weekend. This would make it The Rock's biggest opening weekend outside of Fast and Furious. It's also said that the film shows similar prospect to Sony's Venom, which opened to $80 million and had strong enough legs to cross $850 million worldwide. I'm afraid, John, that while Black Adam might have a good weekend, it'll be severely cut due to Black Panther 2 releasing 2 weeks after it. John, what do you think about this? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for that. And yeah, we've been talking a lot about what kind of performance can this movie have, because I don't think the trailers have been particularly great. I bought my tickets already. I don't care. I'm excited about Black Adam. You got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in this thing. I'm excited for it. So there's all that there. So I've been curious to see what the forecasts were going to be. And right now, pitching $70 to $75 million for an opening. Listen, in a world right now where Smile came out. Now, Smile is not a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, but Smile came out and it's like 22 million. Are you kidding? You're talking tripling that in the environment that we've got right now, putting it in the same neighborhood as Venom, which you pointed out went on to flirt with the $1 billion mark, like get over $800 million. Listen, if Black Adam can make over, let's even say 700 million. I don't think it needs to cross 700 million just to be considered successful. I think you cross 500 million, you're successful. But you cross 700 million, I think you're popping bottles with this movie. I really do. So if they can get there, that would be huge. This comes to us from the folks over at comicbook.com who write the following. Well, Warner Brothers and The Rock will be happy to hear that current projections place Black Adam on track to be Dwayne Johnson's, get this, biggest movie opening ever. A new report from The Hollywood Reporter claims that Black Adam is on track to open in the range of 70 to 75 million in its debut weekend in theaters in late October, with the very conspicuous note that these estimates could be modest due to post-pandemic swings, and the film could open higher. That puts Black Adam on pace to have a similar successful opening as Tom Hardy's and Sony's Venom movie in 2018. It would also be a live-action personal best opening for Dwayne Johnson, excluding the numbers he did with as being a part of the Fast and Furious franchise, movies 5 through 8. Recent box office projections put Black Adam on track to earn about $328 million domestically alone in total. Now, when you're saying it would be Dwayne Johnson's best, this would be the best opening, if it does hit 70, 75 million, of any Dwayne Johnson lead movie ever. It's weird to think about that. Remember we had that same conversation about Tom Cruise? When we are realizing, wait a minute, Tom Cruise has never had a movie that opened to $100 million? Dwayne Johnson has never had a movie that he's been the lead in make more than, I think, $68 million or something like that.
That's wild.
So this would be his big, now a lot of his movies make money, but I've not had these massive, huge openings other than, of course, Fast and Furious, but he wasn't the lead in those. So I think that's really interesting. So I honestly, listen, I know there are some people out there who still don't understand the box office that think anything that comes out should make $1 billion. And everybody keeps forgetting that the $1 billion mark is still a very rare thing, right? In the history of Hollywood, it's happened less than 60 times. In the last 4 years, it's only happened 3 times. So, I mean, this movie does not need to make $1 billion. But if they can make this type of money, I think they take that as a big win. Chris, you're seeing these numbers. What stands out to you in this?
I mean, what you said of The Rock hasn't had an opening like this before, which you think of Tom Cruise or Will Smith of these are the biggest movie stars we've talked about. And then it's just, oh, now they're finally going to cross this threshold, which is so wild to think about. I think, too, if he's over 500 on this one, there's going to be a lot of Terramana being poured. It's going to be great. You also have a lot going in its favor, right? You have diehard Rock fans and diehard DC fans.
Yes.
Who have been waiting for this movie since, I think, the 1900s. You know?
Around about the time the Yellowstone prequel was made.
Exactly, when it was first announced. So, I mean, this movie has just been waiting in the wings for years. So I think people are really excited to see the actual product. I've been like you, where the trailers haven't been completely wowing me. But they also haven't spoiled anything for me. So I'm going into this film completely wide-eyed, wondering what's happening, what's the main conflict, what's happening with the Justice Society, and I think it's going to be a really killer film.
Rob, what stands out to you in this story?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's a little surprising. I didn't expect it to have this much awareness or this much sort of a must-see. I'm happy it does. You know, I don't like it when any movie fails, especially a movie that's science fiction, fantasy, or horror, or comic book based. I want to see all these movies succeed. And I like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a performer. I loved him in Fast and Furious. Loved him. I loved his character introduced in Fast 5. It was one of the reasons the movie is so great. And I think no one has ever embodied in terms of looking the part the way he does as Black Adam. I mean, he's perfect. He's perfect. Is the movie going to be good?
Yeah, that we don't know.
That's the one thing I mean, that looks good to me. I to be
So
honest,
hyped
John,
for Fate.
I can't wait to go see this movie for no other reason than Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate.
Same here. That's all I
you
really care.
got me. Yes, you got me and Hawkman and Atom Smasher. But it really comes down to, does this movie deliver the goods? And I don't know if it will yet. I have to see it first.
Yeah, the trailers haven't convinced me that it will, but I mean, I don't care. I'm still super excited for it.
But if it has a big opening, I don't ever want these movies to succeed. I mean, to not succeed. I want them to all to do well. I hope it does make 800 million, because that means that other more obscure characters might see the light of day.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Black Adam, it's getting close. I mean, the tickets are on sale. I've got mine now. It's coming. And now they're projecting, I think, really solid numbers for 70 to 75, maybe even higher. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, and before we move on to our next little bit here, we're going to take a second and thank the newest sponsor here of the John Campea Show, our friends over at Amazon Pharmacy. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Amazon Pharmacy. I don't know about you, but when I need to go to the drugstore, I always seem to wait till the last minute, hoping that they'll be open, or I get stuck in a line, or both. And that's why I love Amazon Pharmacy. Yes, that Amazon. Amazon Pharmacy delivers a better pharmacy experience that delivers directly to your door and works with most insurance plans. Amazon Pharmacy helps you save time, save money, and stay healthy. They have transparent pricing, so you know what you'll pay before you pay it. That is clutch. As an added bonus, Prime members can save up to 80% on their prescriptions. And like I mentioned earlier, Amazon Pharmacy works with most insurance plans. And if you ever have any questions or problems, real pharmacists are always available at Amazon Pharmacy, no matter the time of day or night. A pharmacy that works for your life, with meds delivered to your door. It doesn't get any better than that. Switch to Amazon Pharmacy and save time, save money, and stay healthy. Learn more at amazon.com/Campea. That's amazon.com/Campea. Average savings based on usage and Inside RX data as compared to cash prices. Average savings for all generics are 78%, 37% for select brand medications. Restrictions apply. And thank you to our friends at the Amazon Pharmacy for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. If you go down into the description of this video, you'll find links to all of our sponsors today and their promo codes. Make sure you use those promo codes. And thank you again to the pharmacy. All right. With that down, guys, we're going to take a second here and play a little game of Over Under, a special Black Adam themed over under game we're going to play here today. Our current defending and undisputed champion, Ray Ora, is going to defend his title here.
The luckiest champion out there.
The luckiest champion ever. And here's what they're playing for. A Black Adam Funko Pop that will be autographed by the crew and sent out to one of our channel members. And so here's what we got. Haley Breedy is going to be represented by Rob. Justin Lee, our channel member Justin Lee, will be represented by, oh, you know what? Oh, damn, these people are not channel members. I accidentally forgot to put in a channel member. So, okay, so I take it all back. Sorry, everybody. I take it all back.
Sorry, Haley.
Yeah, boy.
Our channel member, Chris Retzlaff, will be represented by Ray. Our channel member, Mike Joyce, will be represented by Chris. And our channel member, Jared Vester, will be represented by Rob. So
right.
that
Go,
is
Jared.
that's who our players are playing for. So here's how over under works. We're simply going to read out a question that will have an over or under answer. We'll throw it open to our guys who will either put out a thumbs up representing over or a thumbs down representing under. Taylor is going to keep score of everything. And when we get to the end, whoever has the most points wins.
Good luck.
With that down, guys, let's get into our first question. And you guys at home, feel free to play along as well. All right. Our first question in our Black Adam themed over under is this. Not counting Black Adam, how many Dwayne Johnson movies has Jamae Colette Sarah directed? Over or under 2.5. Not counting Black Adam, how many Dwayne Johnson movies has Jamae Colette Sarah directed? Over or under 2.5 Dwayne Johnson movies? And your answers in 3, 2, 1. Rob, you gotta be a little quicker with them, but all of them are saying under. And the answer is under.
Woo.
The only Dwayne Johnson movie that Colette Sarah directed before Black Adam was Jungle Cruise. Yep. All right. So we are tied at 1 across the board. Let's get into question number 2. How many movies did Dwayne Johnson appear in 2019? Over or under 2.5. How many movies did Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson appear in 2019? Over or under 2.5? And your answers in 3, 2, 1. Everybody's saying over, so it's going to remain tied no matter what. And the answer is over. In 2019, Dwayne Johnson appeared in Jumanji: The Next Level, Hobbs and Shaw, and Fighting with My Family. A highly underrated film, by the way.
Is that another fantastic Fast
it is
and Furious
not another
spinoff?
Fast and Furious film, no.
But he fought with the
Although
family.
that does sound like a
But he
Fast
fought
and
with
Furious
them.
title, doesn't it? All right.
No, I know it's a wrestling one.
We're moving into question number 3 with the score still all tied up. And here we are. Question number 3. How much did Pierce Brosnan, who of course is in Black Adam, how much did Pierce Brosnan's first James Bond film, GoldenEye, make at the worldwide box office? Over or under $368 million? How much did Pierce Brosnan's first James Bond film, GoldenEye, make at the worldwide box office? Over or under $368 million? And your answers in 3, 2, 1. Chris is going over. Rob and Ray are saying under. And the answer is under. GoldenEye made $352 million globally.
But what did the video game make?
Oh, probably a lot more than that.
That game is lit.
That is like one of the greatest video games
I had
of
a
all
whole
time.
birthday party around that game.
All right, we now have Rob and Ray tied in the lead.
bitch.
So we are now going to move into question number 4. How long ago did Dwayne Johnson first officially announce that he would be portraying Black Adam? Over or under 7 years and 3 months? How long ago did Dwayne Johnson first officially announce that he would be portraying Black Adam? Over or under 3 years and 7 months ago?
7 years and 3 months ago.
So what did I say?
You just swapped it, but it's 7 years.
Oh, yeah, 7 years and 3 months ago. And your answer in 3, 2, 1. Chris is saying under. Rob and Ray are saying over. And the answer is over. Dwayne Johnson was originally approached to play Shazam in as early as 2006, but officially announced in September of 2014, 8 years and 1 month ago, that he would be Black Adam. 8 years and 1 month ago. All right. Rob and Ray still in the lead. Still enough questions here for Chris to come back and win this thing.
Well.
As we move in, what question are we on now? 5?
5.
What's that? This is 5. Okay, question number 5. How much did Black Adam's traditional nemesis, Shazam, make at the worldwide box office in 2019? Over or under $401 million? How much did Black Adam's traditional nemesis, Shazam, make at the worldwide box office in 2019? Over or under $401 million? And your answer in 3, 2, 1. We got Chris saying over, Rob and Ray both saying under, and the answer is under. Shazam made $366 million
I'm just going to wheel away.
at the worldwide box
Chris is
office.
trailing off.
So Rob and Ray are both continue to be perfect in this run.
I keep playing with my heart. I keep playing with what I want
Always
to be
follow
real.
your heart.
Don't, kids.
So
Don't.
Rob and Ray right now are 5 for 5 each and tied for the lead as we move now into the final 2 questions. And we go into question number 6. Viola Davis returns as Amanda Waller in Black Adam. How many Academy Award nominations does she have in her career? Over or under 3.5? Viola Davis returns as Amanda Waller in Black Adam. How many Academy Award nominations does she have in her career? Over or under 3.5? And your answer in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we got Chris and Rob saying under, Ray saying over, and the answer is over. Viola Davis has 4 Academy Award acting nominations for Doubt, The Help, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Fences, for which she won her only Oscar. So Ray shoots into the lead here.
Man, I'm gonna be accused of sabotage.
Graphics.
I did.
Jonathan created the graphics today. All right, so we're heading now into the final question. Final question. How many Dwayne Johnson starring wide release movies have had an opening weekend box office of under $10 million? Over or under 0.5? How many Dwayne Johnson starring wide release movies have had an opening weekend box office of under $10 million? Over or under 0.5? And your answer in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs. Ray is saying under, Rob and Chris are saying over, and the answer is over. Faster, which I think is one of his best movies, made just under $9 million.
How are we gonna do this?
And it was the only one that didn't do it. So
What are the scores? The final score?
So Rob and Ray are tied at 6, and Chris is a little bit behind with 3.
I'm a little bit behind. A little bit behind.
She trailed off and got lost at the mall.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. Let me see here. Okay. We're gonna do, I did not think we would be tied at this point, so we're gonna do a sudden death question. All right? Sudden death. And here we go. Dwayne Johnson's movie Rampage in 2018. His movie Rampage in 2018. What was its opening weekend box office? Over or under $42 million? What was Dwayne Johnson's Rampage opening weekend box office? Over or under $42 million? This is just between Rob and Ray now. And your answer in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs. Ray is saying under. Rob is saying over. And the answer is under. Rampage made $35 million. So we are still
Sorry, Jared.
in the new run, undefeated, undisputed, over-under champion
Sabotage, baby.
is Ray Ora, which means that who was representing Ray? Chris Ratzlaff.
Yay!
Chris Ratzlaff is going to be our winner of a Black Adam Funko Pop that the whole crew here will autograph and mail out to you. Ray will be in touch with you to work out shipping and all that kind of stuff and get your address. So, yeah, there you go. Congratulations to Ray. That went right down to the wire. That was great. Look at Ray. He's overwhelmed. This is the greatest day of his life.
He's like, why can't it ever be for the hot toys?
Who knows? Maybe one of these days we'll actually make it a hot toy. Yeah, when Rob's got some ones he wants to give away. All right.
Send them your scripts.
So thank you for playing with us, guys. Let us know if you like us playing this game or not during the show. If you don't, maybe we'll stop.
Oh
If
my
you like it, we'll continue. All right.
Thought I lost that.
With that down, guys, let's now move on to our fourth and final main topic today. Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
This comes from Impending Doom.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I see what you did there. Good morning, everyone. There's been a heavy buzz recently regarding Doctor Doom being the potential villain of Black Panther 2 and being the one who orchestrated the war between Wakanda and Talocan. A recent report by The Hollywood Reporter also highlights how Black Panther 2 leaves opening for Doom to appear, while also emphasizing Tenoch Huerta's claim of Namor not being the villain of the film. For me, John, Doom is perhaps the greatest villain in Marvel Comics, and to see him in the MCU will be an experience unlike any seen before. Is the stage being set for Doom's arrival in Black Panther 2? Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that impending Doom. And of course, you're right. The Namor actor did come out and say that, Namor's not a villain, he's an anti-hero. And we've seen many movies that the anti-hero has been the antagonist. So it's not so much as being a villain, you just need a protagonist and you need an antagonist. And sometimes the antagonist is also a good guy. I mean, that sometimes is the case. But there have been a lot of talk about maybe Doctor Doom popping up in this thing. And to which I've always had a degree of skepticism about that, because really, what would be the narrative purpose of that? I mean, Rob, you've often pointed out, well, I mean, as a world leader, he could appear at the funeral of T'Challa. That could make sense, maybe a post-credit scene. But there is a major trade, not Gus's gas station movie reviews .fart. The Hollywood Reporter has put out an article where they suggest that Doom, they don't say it outright, but that Doctor Doom will be the villain of this particular movie. Now, this comes to us, of course, from the Hollywood Reporter, who write the following. T'Challa and Namor straddle the line of king and superhero and king and anti-hero, respectively. But there also exists a third point of comparison. The exact same Black Panther run by Priest that introduced the conflict between T'Challa and Namor, a third monarch waged war in the two kingdoms, Doctor Doom, as king and villain. So we had king and superhero, king and antihero, and king and villain. Doom is yet another look at what the throne means. And in this instance, when it is truly a symbol of self rather than a nation. Yet, Doom's Latveria in the comics is a peaceful nation, one in which its residents have little to worry about and aren't ever forced to fight in the wars of their ruler. No one is as broken as Doom, yet by Namor's estimation, does that make him a great leader? While purely speculative, Huerta's comments about not being the villain and the theme of Wakanda Forever illuminated by the recent trailer suggest that Doom may play a role in this epic clash of nations. And that again comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. Okay, here's why I think this is so interesting. Lots of but nobody YouTube channels and blogs and podcasts like the John Campea Show, we'll do speculative things. Hey, what are the chances? I could do a video of what are the chances that Doctor Doom is in this movie, right? We do YouTube channels like myself and others. We make those all the time because it's fun to talk about. You know who doesn't generally do those types of articles? Variety, Hollywood Reporter. And there have been several instances in the past where outlets like The Wrap or Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter have made an article like this and it turned out was totally true and all that kind of stuff. Now, look, let me be very clear here with everybody. I am not sitting here pronouncing that this article written in the Hollywood Reporter and this section of it that we just read is definitive proof that Doctor Doom is in this movie. I am not saying that. I am not claiming that at all. However, I am simply raising a flag that says, you know what, the Hollywood Reporter doesn't generally do stuff like this. And there have been examples of when they and other outlets like them have, and it's turned out that they actually had some inside information and started laying some groundwork. So even for somebody like me, who has been skeptical about totally possible that Doctor Doom, but I've been skeptical. I admit it. I've been skeptical that Doctor Doom would appear in this film. And if it was, it would be something tiny like an unimportant post-credit scene, or maybe they just give a wink with him being Latveria is represented at T'Challa's funeral. Maybe. But this, combined with the logic that they put in here of Huerta mentioning that, hey, Namor's not the villain. I mean, I think even if you're like me and you've been skeptical, you've got to go, all right, I smell a little bit of smoke. I mean, to me, this raises the chances of Doctor Doom not just appearing, but maybe even being something of a significant character in this movie. of course, one of the big things that works against that is the fact that how on earth would they have been able to keep this absolutely secret? Because with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire appearing in Spider-Man No Way Home, those reports came out like a year and a half before the movie came out. Like there were those reports and those stories going around like a year and a half before the movie came out. With this, nothing. Now, Marvel's been getting better and better at keeping all this kind of stuff under wraps. So I got to imagine a lot of people would be very excited at this notion. Rob, let me start with you on this. How big of a deal do you think we should be making out of this article in the Hollywood Reporter and what they're proposing here to us? And where does that leave you as far as your thoughts on, does Doctor Doom appear in this movie? And a totally separate question is Doctor Doom the villain? Because just appearing and being the villain are two very different things. How do you see this?
Well, I've always said that I'm really interested in the geopolitics that this movie is going to give us, because it's post-blip. You have another emerging secret civilization coming out onto the world stage. I was under the impression that they're doing so because Wakanda going public has pissed them off. That's why they want revenge or something. But even I'm like, but that doesn't seem, they could have just stayed.
That has to be part of the reason. There has to be something else.
They could have stayed secret. So I'm really interested to see. I mean, even this, obviously, there's beef between them for whatever reason.
Yes.
And I would assume that they already know each other. I would assume that the Talocan civilization and Wakanda, they've either shared technology or they're rivals or something.
Or they have an uneasy truce.
Yeah, uneasy
Or
truce.
there's sexual tension.
Or sexual tension.
Could be there too. You just never know. I have no idea. But if they're ever going to introduce, I mean, the fact that Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom, is a world leader makes it very plausible that he would be a player in this movie. I do not think that we are going to see him, if he is in this movie, in the traditional armor. I don't think that he's going to be walking around that way. I mean, the cast, the people making this movie, they didn't even have to call him Dr. Doom. They could just call him Victor. And he was, we don't know who was cast in this film. It's like when they made Star Trek Into Darkness. They're like, no, Benedict Cumberbatch just playing a character named John Harrison. We're all like, oh, really? He's not Khan? And they played that game up until the film was released. They're not even playing this game because it's something people aren't even paying attention to because of Chadwick Boseman's passing.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect way. I mean, I could see Marvel doing this. I hope it's true. I want it to be true.
But do you think it is?
Do I think it is?
Over under.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because I've always said, even that scene where she's addressing whatever that committee is.
I think it's I think it's the UN, but I don't know.
Yeah, whatever that is. I'm like, he's in that. I've always thought he was somehow going to be introduced as part of that. The same way that T'Chaka was introduced in Civil War. I think so.
Chris, I mean, this is pretty big for the Hollywood Reporter to come out and write stuff like this. Has this changed? I know it's changed my outlook on it a little bit. Has it changed your outlook on it? And ultimately, do you think Victor Von Doom and Latveria is going to be in this film, number one? And number two, if you do think he's in the film, is it a significant role? What do you think?
I mean, this definitely does add credibility to this kind of fan theory of, oh yeah, Doom could totally be in this. He could totally be here. Because there is comic book precedent for it, of course. Norman Osborn and Namor asked T'Challa to join Doom's kind of like League of Villains, and then Doom's forces beat T'Challa into a coma. Shuri takes up the mantle. There's a whole thing there. So this could be that story. I really like Rob's idea, though, of having this be that kind of geopolitical bedfellows thing of, hey, we're all small nations that are peaceful with advanced technology. We need to band together. We all need to be on the same side and see how that all plays out.
Yeah,
because
that'd
be fun.
Wakanda's like, we're building embassies all over the world. We're going to tell everybody and maybe some people don't like that.
Well, I mean, there's a common political trope that's been played in a number of movies, but I mean, maybe Latveria's like, you know what? Talocan is a pretty tough place. Wakanda's a pretty tough place. Let's make them punch it out between themselves and weaken both of them. I mean, I say that as somebody who's skeptical that Dr. Doom is going to be in this, but that could be a story approach that they could take on something like this.
Because this is the last movie of Phase 4, isn't it?
Honestly, to me, the phases are just arbitrary numbers, so I don't really keep track of it.
I think this movie, because I've always said one of the things that I'm curious about is where I'm expecting big things in the MCU to be addressed in this movie. Just for me, not because I've heard something. I just think that they should be, and this is the place to do it. And I think if you're going to put him in there, I like that. I like the fact that Doctor Doom would be a player in the MCU before he's introduced in Fantastic Four.
See, and I have been of the mindset that when they do introduce Doctor Doom, it will be with the Fantastic Four. But again, listen, we always form our opinions based on the information we have at hand. And as new information comes in, if you're an intelligent person, you reevaluate. And I got to tell you, with all this new stuff coming in, a bunch of you guys are starting to win me over. That maybe this is the case, and maybe it is. And you know what? Maybe he is not just makes an appearance. Maybe he's the guy in this thing. Like I maybe a little bit more behind the curtain, but maybe he's the actual guy. Look, I do know this. If Victor Von Doom comes out on stage, because we've all been in a Marvel movie, when a character comes out or is mentioned, and you can immediately tell who in this theater reads the comics, because you get that big pop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's the best.
If we're sitting in there in November, next month, and we're watching Black Panther, and Victor Von Doom walks into frame, you're going to hear a pop. Not equal to Andrew and Toby, but you're going to hear a pretty freaking radical pop. And then you're going to see some people looking around the theater going, what's the big deal? Who's this?
Or like
Right?
nerds.
Nerds.
Oh, look at those nerds are cheering.
Somebody here reads, I guess.
What you nerds cheating?
You know, there are these scenes in the trailers that have perplexed me. They're on like a tanker or a cargo ship or something.
Yeah,
That always,
something's being delivered that the Talocans want.
yeah, it always seemed a little like not Wakanda-like. Like, wouldn't?
Oh, I don't think that's a Wakandan ship.
No, I don't either. So I'm like, what's going on there? Who's doing what to whom? What's going on? Who are these? What is this strike team that's going on to the? They don't look like the Talocan or Wakandans.
Here's my guess. My guess is, I mean, those look like it's Talocan, but I think Wakanda is sending a shipment of vibranium somewhere as a part of their goodwill and openness with the world. And I think Talocan decided, we're taking that. Thank you very much. I mean, I don't know. That's just a wild guess pulled out of my ass. I have no idea. But I mean, that scene could literally be for just about anything.
But if they did that, wouldn't they fly it over under guard?
Probably.
I wonder what if Doom is just kind of instigating things between them, because we see Wakanda being
That's what I'm
flooded in this too.
thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's a shit disturber. It's like, oh, did you poke a little poke? Oh, did you
Exactly.
see him poke you? Like,
Yeah.
And what if it's a mystery? Like
Yeah.
we don't know, and they finally team up. Namor teams up with Wakanda, and they're like, who's doing this? And it's a great, like, very Tom Clancy-esque, Bond-esque reveal. Something like that.
all right. And Nufo is saying in the live chat, I'm surprised John didn't get leaked photos of Black Panther 2. Who says I didn't? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, guys, I think this is major. Again, remember, this is not coming from some Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart blog like the John Campea Show or other YouTube channels. This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. And we have seen examples like this in the past where they damn well knew, because later we find out everything. So I don't know. Maybe I'm changing my mind on this. What do you guys think about this? Does this coming out of the Hollywood Reporter move the needle for you on whether or not you think Dr. Doom will even be in the movie? And aside from just maybe an appearance, maybe could be a key player in it. Couple that with Huerta's comments that, by the way, Namor's not the villain. I mean, I don't know. Where does your imagination go? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all that down, we are now going to open up the super chats, and we are going to start taking your live comments and questions. Now, for those of you who are our super chat, for those of you who are our beloved channel members, we're going to collect up any of those chats that you send in using your monthly YouTube member chat, and we're going to address those in their own separate video a little bit later today. But if you guys are just watching the show, send on in a super chat. We'll get to those in just a second. But before we do, we're going to take a moment and thank our friends, Ryan Reynolds and his company, Mint Mobile, for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Hey guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And now for the plot twist. I'm just kidding. There isn't one. Seriously, Mint Mobile just has premium wireless service from $15 a month. There's no trapping you into a 2-year contract or opening the bill to find these crazy fees. There's no luring you in with free subscriptions to streaming services that you'll forget to cancel and be charged full price for. I used to dread opening my phone bill every month because every time I was opening it, it was like playing roulette. I never knew what the actual price was going to be, and it always seemed to get higher. But not with Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And if you're worried about the complication of switching things over, don't. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So guys, get premium wireless from just $15 a month and no unexpected plot twists at mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Seriously, you'll make your wallet very happy at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that down, Ray, we had somebody give some membership.
They gift quite often. Marl Jehovah gifted 5 John Campea memberships. Just wanted to mention that.
All right, thank you so much. That was very generous of you, man. And again, to all of our channel members who sent in their monthly member chats, we will address those in their own separate video later. Okay, we got a bunch to get through and not a lot of time to do it. So, Chris, what do we have in our super chats?
We are starting with, we're moving.
Sorry, I lost it, bumped, and then lost it. Here we go.
That's okay. From Cinema Reviews, 1 of 3.
Oh, good luck.
Show recommendations. Kamen Rider build. 10 years ago, a Japanese astronaut found Pandora's box on Mars. When it's brought back to Earth, it creates...
You know what? We're just going to have to get to it when we get to it.
I don't know where it went.
Let's keep going. All right, what's next?
There was this also support from Leandro Urinia.
All right, thank you, Leandro.
From Suthius. Came upon a video called 2 Hours of John Campea Rants, and my God, best 2 hours of my life. Greatest hits over the past years. That is one passionate man.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you add it all up over the 11 years I've been doing this or something like that. Yeah, it can add up after a while. All right, what's next?
From Andy, if Black Adam ends up like Morbius on quality, how damaging will that be to the DC brand? If that happens, I'd be so down for the Black Adam memes.
I don't think it's inappropriate to use the word devastating. I mean, well, look, the reality though, this is that this isn't Sony. I mean, if it was Sony and they were following up Morbius with Black Adam, which is not a Sony thing, but if they did and it was just as bad, so not as bad. But listen, this is one that they've been waiting for. Listen, he announced it in 2014. 8 years ago, people have been waiting for this project and for this movie. So it won't be good. Won't be good if it's really bad, like not at all. And this is one of those ones where even though Warner Brothers seems to be, listen, if the movie's not good and it's going to hurt our brand, just don't release it. You can't do that with a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. That's like no matter what, that has to come out. So, all right, what's next?
From Raymond Verrata, though fans want to see Namor bring adamantium to the MCU, according to Marvel Database, Namor's dad, Leonard Mackenzie, was tasked to find vibranium in the Antarctic, but found Namor's mom instead.
But is that their database of the comics, or is that their database of the MCU?
That's the comics.
Yeah.
So again, comics are the comics, the movies are the movies. So I don't know that we can draw those parallels. Sometimes there are, but oftentimes, as we've seen, Rob, there's not.
No.
All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, I don't think Elendil's wife is strictly an elf. I think she might be a mortal half-elf like Elros, Elrond's brother, and first king of Numenor.
Yeah, that's completely possible. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, I just think there's more to his wife, especially when you start talking about the way he talked about her, the way he explained like that he learned certain gifts from her. There's clearly something like that. So you could absolutely be, I wouldn't be surprised at all to find out that you're 100% right about that. All right, what's next?
From Andy, if Disney Plus or Hulu wants their own Game of Thrones or fantasy epic series, I'd say reboot Legend of the Seeker, based on the Sword of Truth novels by Terry Goodkind. They're so good. Well, they are for a while, and then they get very, they're way too rapey. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm not even familiar with them.
Oh, they're fantastic. And Legend of the Seeker was a terrible show. Oh, my God.
I didn't even know it was a show.
I believe it was like CW. And it feels that way.
Say no more.
Say no more.
But yeah, the Sword of Truth series is great.
All right. What's next?
From Blake62, that last bit of dialogue in this episode of Andor was incredible. The show is an example of what Star Wars can be. Also enjoying the lack of sand.
I would say this. Here's one thing. They do not use the volume for this. They don't use their big virtual set that they've used in Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. I would almost say this. Sometimes the landscape, because they're in real locations, it's so real that it almost doesn't feel like Star Wars. Do you know? I know that sounds weird, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that but the thing about the first Empire and the first 3 Star Wars movies, they went to different environments, which was the fun. They went to Glacier on Norway. They went to Tunisia. So I love the fact that we're seeing kind of like, it reminds me of the beginning of Rogue One when they went to Iceland, and shot. And I love it, dude. I think that's part of the reason the show is successful, because it's real.
Yeah. Well, and Star Wars thrives when it's practical effects.
Yes.
When we have actual aliens in, makeup and everything. And the same applies to the environments that you're in. You feel like you're there because it's tangible.
Even in the distance, like we've seen whether TIE fighters are flying overhead or a Tidarium-esque shuttle is flying in the distance, it never does a close-up. It's like flying like a real airplane
Which makes it feel more real.
Yeah, the verisimilitude is beautiful.
All right, what's next?
From Ben Rayner, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Ben.
Is really good. A really good for why question is, for why are we getting the animal too? From Deadline yesterday, the Rob Schneider movie is getting a video on demand sequel. For why? Who is this for? It's for Ray. Anyone? Talk about a comedy with no humor. Yikes.
Oh, never mind.
What do you mean, man?
Wait a minute. The animal. Never mind.
Rob Schneider was just a regular guy.
And then he's a carrot. What? Is this real?
Guess where it's going. If you had to guess which streamer this was
I would
going,
have to guess
Roku.
Peacock.
even worse.
Netflix.
Tubi.
Tubi.
Tubi. The
Coming
diamond
out.
in the rough,
Oh, man.
With the $200 bid for the rights
man.
to the animal. And Rob Schneider taking a break from flipping burgers.
Apple TV rethinking its.
You know what? Here's the thing. I've said this before about Rob Schneider. I'll say it again. Rob Schneider is a great example to me of a guy who I love when he pops up in supporting roles, who can steal scenes when he's in a supporting role, is not a leading guy. Rob Schneider is a carrot. Oh my! Oh God! Wow! Tubi making moves.
Ooh.
You go, Tubi. All right. What's next?
From Andy. After almost 2 decades, Stacy's mom still has it going on. If you know what this means, then I just want to say that you're awesome.
I know
It's
the
a
song.
song.
Yeah, that's
That's what he's talking about.
Is that only
Fountains of Wayne.
5 years ago?
No, he said.
No. 20.
He
Wait.
said 2 decades ago.
Yeah, so
20 years
Oh, I thought
ago.
he said
20
5
years.
years ago. Okay.
No.
Yeah. That feels more.
She's in her
appropriate.
60s now, so.
She's
right,
a
what's
cougar
next?
now. From Mott Awesome, something nice.
I always say it's always nice when somebody just wants to write in to say something nice. Thank you, Moda Awesome.
James Argena. Tomorrow, She-Hulk will have the long-awaited appearance of the fan favorite character, Leapfrog. It's Frogman. Also, some British actors appearing as Matt Murdock.
Yeah, actually, just before we started the show, a friend of mine sent me an image of Leapfrog, Frogman, whatever.
Frogman.
And I was
Leapfrog
like,
is
oh,
the
it, like,
educational system that I voice.
It is amazing, like when you actually get something tangible and you can see a picture, and then you go, I still don't care. So yeah,
See, Frogman is the kind of weird that I've wanted in She-Hulk. Of just
Yes.
I'm a street vigilante who has springs in his feet.
But listen, I gave up on the show, but Anne wants to still watch it, so I sit and I watch it with Anne. And
Yeah.
like, if Man Bull is any indication of how they're going to handle these types of characters, and by way I mean not funny, then I don't know that we're. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Hopefully they finish strong. For the people
She-Hulk
watching.
was a perfect opportunity for Stiltman, and we didn't get that.
Yep.
Or Paste Pot Pete.
All right.
my
Piss
God.
Pot Pete. All right. What's next?
From Raymond Verada, it's not Dr. Doom. Doombot.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to bring those in at all, but I mean, yeah. I mean, remember there was a thought when we saw the Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness trailers and we saw the Ultron bots, right? A lot of people thought those might be Doom bots. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And there was a little chance of that. All right, what's next?
From The Philosopher's Take, John and team, the business of movie making tells us to recast T'Challa. The art of storytelling, which is infused by life, tells us not to.
I disagree. No, that I don't agree with that. 1,000% disagree with that. Listen, again, I understand Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige's rationale. I respect the rationale, and I think they're going to make something excellent and wonderful. But no, I think life tells us that life goes on. I think that ultimately is the lesson in life here. The show goes on. And that's why myself, again, while I am totally understanding of why they didn't recast, and I respect that, and they're going to make something great, I still believe the right decision would have been to recast and to carry on Chadwick Boseman's legacy with this character that he launched that became so vitally important to so many people around the world. But again, we're not here to relaunch that entire debate, but I think life teaches us that life goes on and you do carry on with that character. But that's just me. All right, what's next?
From Suthius. Okay, I watched a few episodes of Cobra Kai. I think it's stupid.
Well, then go away.
The entire goddamn town knows how to karate.
No.
They all solve problems with fighting.
Yes.
Come on now. Who the heck would want to live there?
Me?
Yeah, everyone.
It's called the Valley.
Yeah, I was gonna say
live
we
there.
live there.
Yeah, everyone in the valley knows kung fu.
I box a man 3 times a week. You got to be scrappy in the valley.
Scrappy in the Valley.
I am not here to yuck on anybody's yum. I just, it's not for me. I'll just leave it at Cobra Kai is not for me. I tried, but it's not for me. But I'm glad everybody in this room, all y'all losers in here, don't tell me to go away, Jonathan. My damn show. Yeah, I mean, I respect everybody else who like
Not anymore.
you forget who's sitting at the controls, Campea.
You can change that.
Suddenly there's a donkey head on me.
The takeover.
Listen, I love that people love it. And like this, my house is filled with Cobra Kai love because God, when the new seasons come out, my wife binges those in like 2 days. It's crazy.
Oh,
All right,
hey, it is stupid, but I love it that it's stupid. That's the thing. I embrace that it's stupid.
all right, what's next?
From Jay Master, on Monday, Dancing with the Stars celebrated 60 years of James Bond with Bond Night live on Disney Plus with all of the Bond songs and paying homage to all of the films. Episode now streaming on Disney Plus.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
I mean, like, it's not an overstatement to say James Bond, this is one of the most significant and important film franchises of all time. And one of the most recognizable characters of fiction of all time. And that is still today a huge moneymaker in this. And it's still as relevant now as he's ever been.
A new documentary, and I don't know which streaming service, about the music of James Bond dropped this week as well. Not just Dancing with the Stars, but an actual documentary.
All right, what's next?
From Jay, what criteria makes a film a cult classic?
Everyone is unique, and it's the audience's response to it. Nothing else makes a cult classic, but an audience, any movie can become a cult classic. It all depends on the audience's response to it. All right, what's next?
From Stubble McShave, Andor Episode 5 was clearly a second act of the second storyline. It developed characters and storylines introduced in Episode 4. Guess we'll get the resolution next week.
I personally feel, because listen, I'm geeking out over the dramatic approach, the HBO dramatic approach to this show. And I just thought that episode up until this point has been the highest level of that kind of storytelling. It has been, my jaw is just on the floor that they're bringing that. This is Emmy winning kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
This is Emmy winning kind of
Acting,
stuff.
too.
Yeah, like I will not be surprised at all come next Emmy season that you're going to see Andor's name mentioned a lot.
You know, it makes me want them to go back this same production team and redo Book of Boba Fett.
But it's a
in this
different
style.
Book of Boba Fett. You need to approach differently, I think.
You could, but look, this level of intelligence that's brought to it. I mean, it could be a different form of storytelling, but the thing is, this is how Star Wars exists in my mind, as good as the show is, as opposed to the pulpy pew pew pew. I
love the pulpy pew pew pew. But there's doing it right and there's doing
That's
it
what
wrong,
I mean.
right?
I mean, look, Empire Strikes Back has the pulpy pew pew pew, but it's got a level of sophistication. Like Luke and Yoda, that wasn't exactly action packed, but it was riveting.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
From Anubis Genocide. Hi, John and crew. I don't think Doom will outright be the villain in Black Panther 2, but I think the third-party villain will be the UN with Doom Latveria possibly whispering in their ears. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, listen, I at the end of the day, if he's there, and I'm not saying I'm 100% convinced he is. I'm not saying my mind has been completely won over, but I could see him very quietly being the genius in the background, just being the shit disturber. Poke, poke, poke. Oh, hey, did you see him poke you? You know, I heard him talking shit about your mom. That's all I'm saying. Like, I can just totally see Victor.
What'd you say about my mother?
Yeah, I could totally see him being that kind of a place, whether it's with
Little bit of Game of
directly
Thrones.
with Talocan and Wakanda, or whether it's with the UN. All right,
Maybe we'll get Game of Thrones in the MCU. in a sense, you know?
I mean, yeah, everybody's playing the game. All right. We hear you
So here-
whispering. Now is our time to strike.
Here's part 2, but I also found part 3. So.
Okay, great.
Okay. Cinema reviews the Skywell dividing Japan into 3, resulting in untold chaos. Sento, an amnesiac physicist, becomes the titular Kamen Rider, built to fight
It's right here.
monsters created by scientists, other riders, and unlock the secrets of the box in his past. The action, drama, espionage, and murder mystery, and more. I've heard great things about Kamen Rider. I've never watched it, though.
I mean, I'm old school Kamen Rider.
Okay.
You know, the black and green grasshopper. Love that. But
Is this show live action? Is this an
This is an
anime?
anime.
Okay.
Is it
Isn't
anime?
it?
Oh,
Isn't it?
I don't know because
Oh, I thought it was.
Kamen Rider was live action when it started. I don't know if it is or not.
Okay. I thought it was an anime.
I mean, they've done anime, but I love Kamen Rider. I mean, it goes way back. Kamen Rider's 60s?
Really?
60s? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the first Japanese, I don't know if it predates Ultraman, but I want
love
to say he's one of the
Ultraman.
first Super Sentai characters.
All right. What's next?
From J Master, Amazon just announced this morning all of the James Bond movies are now streaming on Prime Video.
Nice.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was something we were kind of expecting to be on the way with MGM now going over there. Now, again, these licenses are complex things, and how long it's going to be
Yeah.
be there on Prime.
This has happened before, and they come and go, and then I get pissed off.
Yeah, and the same thing has happened with the Harry Potter films and stuff like
The
that.
question, are they in 4K? Because only the Daniel Craig movies were mastered and released in 4K.
Well,
So I'm
All right.
curious.
Probably 1080.
what's next?
From Haley Brady, some support. Thank you,
Thank
Haley.
you, Haley. Even though you didn't win our contest, sorry about that.
Yeah, we
I didn't
appreciate
realize you
you.
weren't a channel member when I
Yeah.
shouted that
Thanks
out.
for
I'm
still
sorry.
supporting, Haley.
But
That was
thank you,
sweet.
Haley. Appreciate that. What's next?
From Jay, do you think wrestling can return to heights they had in the late 80s to early 2000s? And if no, why not?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really. I watch. We're going to go to WrestleMania this year. I don't, and so I watch WrestleMania, probably SummerSlam every year, but I don't really follow wrestling anymore. Not since I was a kid. The Attitude Era was the greatest era of professional wrestling. I mean, so, and now with Triple H in charge, and Triple H and Stephanie in charge, could they be steering things back towards that way? Maybe, I don't know, but time will tell.
mean,
but I don't really follow it enough to have a strong opinion.
Women's wrestling has been dope as hell lately. I mean,
way better than it
Bianca
was back in
Belair
the day.
is killer. The Becky Lynch whole like rivalry there has been really, really cool. But
You know, one of the big pay-per-views I watched, and true wrestling fans are not going to like what I'm going to say here, but Ronda Rousey, I remember in one of the big pay-per-views, there was a big match between Ronda Rousey and what's Flair's first name?
Rick
Charlotte Flair.
or Charlotte
Yeah.
Flair.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey did not fight Ric Flair. So, but his daughter, and I have never seen a female wrestler be able to. She's not the best wrestler in the world, but I've never seen a female wrestler who can sell the bumps the other wrestlers are giving her. Like I saw Ronda Rousey do.
Wanda.
Like Flair was doing all these moves and Rousey was selling them to the nines. And then Charlotte Flair picks up the frickin' bamboo stick. Do you remember bamboo?
Yeah.
Do you remember this one?
This was, I think, just past WrestleMania, right?
Or
where
it was two ago. And she started beating on Ronda Rousey with this. And like, there's not many male wrestlers who go, yeah, give me your full brunt of that. And it was real because when that was all done, you could see instantly these giant welts across her back. It's like, you got to be a special kind of tough to take that. And I've rarely seen a female wrestler, not just who will take the bumps, but will sell the bumps like Ronda Rousey does. And I was thoroughly impressed. She's got to work on her mic skills a lot, but I was thoroughly impressed with that. I really was. All right, what's next?
From Dildar. First George Perez, then Neil Adams, and now Kim Jong-gi, R.I.P. to another comics legend.
Yeah, we were just talking about this before we started the show today.
The One
Yeah,
Piece.
One Piece.
Yeah, we were so, and he apparently he was on his way to a Comic-Con.
Yes.
New York Comic-Con to do it. What? It's so tragic. All right, what's next?
From Matt Sanders, fun fact, kids who were born when The Rock was first cast as Black Adam can legally drink. That was a $20 super chat for Matt, too.
That wasn't pretty
I mean,
good.
not true, but hey, it feels like it.
Can you
does
not give
feel like
8-year-olds alcohol?
Well, I mean, in Canada, no, in Canada, it's what is our drinking? Yeah, it's 19 in
Babysitting
Canada.
wrong.
A lot of people, I still remember being in Hamilton and Toronto, and like being at bars and seeing all of these like 19-year-old American kids would have come across the border so they could come across the border and drink.
I did that. Went to Vancouver a lot.
All right, what's next?
From Frederico Jordan. Violent Night doesn't deserve to look that good.
Sure does.
It really doesn't. And again, we've seen this before. Oh, a violent Santa Claus movie. We've seen it. But it is David Harbour. And the trailer did make me laugh.
Yep.
So let's see how good this turns out to be. All right, what's next?
From Bond Presents. I think one of the reasons for Yellowstone's view count is that, for me at least, season 4 was a step up from the previous seasons. Season 4 took the story to places I never imagined.
The show just keeps getting better and better, and the stakes keep getting higher. But they don't make it ridiculous. Like, it's not save the world, right? But they've just gradually, bit by bit by bit, built the stakes, and every season deepened every single character. And the drama, listen, the brother and sister, that drama just doesn't get old, and they keep effing each other over and stabbing each other in the back, and yet they still are brother and sister. It's great. It's great. Guys, watch Yellowstone. It's so good. All right, what's next?
From Frederico, from Kissimmee
we did that
Reviews.
part.
We did that one. Chris Leonardo sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chris.
Hi, John and team. The tension for Andor episode 5 feels like it'll give me an anxiety attack. Comparing the two slower paced shows, why do you think the pace manages to work for Andor, but not with Rings of Power?
There is a difference between slow burn and slow. I've been saying that a lot. And you can be a slower story and still have cadence and pace. We were talking about it before the show started today. Every single scene in Andor, it's much like Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. Every single scene in Andor is packed with meaning. Even if it's just two characters sitting at a breakfast table talking, they pack it with information. We are constantly learning something about the characters involved and the environments that they are in. And then once they've communicated that message to the audience, they move on to the next scene. And still maybe another scene of a couple of people sitting down talking, but the narrative is always deepening. That's what they did in House of the Dragon. The first few episodes of Rings of Power did not do that. The first few episodes of Rings of Power just lingered. Like, they'd say, oh, look, guys, it's Middle Earth again. And then we'd linger and linger and linger without anything really happening that was deepening the character understanding or the context in which it was happening. And that's the difference between pace and cadence and just being stuck. Now, Rings of Power has picked up the pace a lot in recent episodes, and I hope they finish that way. But yeah, to me, that's the fundamental difference.
It's also the pedigree of writing. You know, you've got an Academy Award winner who's running Andor, and the two guys, Payne, they just don't have the experience at all. And you've got Dan Gilroy, who's also a feature filmmaker, made like Nightcrawler with
and
Jake
is writing
Gyllenhaal.
this with his brother.
And their other brother, John, is editing. So you've got a team of people that the family business is making great movies, making the show.
All right, what's next?
From Glenn Mark. Hi, Glenn. How's New Zealand? Chris Carr is the Jefe of Jollity, the Viscountess of Vivacity, the Queen of Gleam, the Heroine of High Spirits, the Vicereine of Vivaciousness, Empress of Effervescence.
See,
Her
I told
scepter.
you when we were doing an after show, I said, because you'd said you wanted
Yeah,
nicknames.
I want a nickname.
I said, you can't make up your own nicknames.
People got to give it to
I
you.
know.
You hung the existential.
Wait, did he
Mr.
say-
Rogers.
Those are great nicknames.
Did he say Chris Carr?
Or
Oh.
Chris, because I believe he spelled it with a C, so he must be talking about somebody
he probably meant
else.
someone else.
All of you can eat shit. I'm great. Goddamn delight.
All right,
Thank you,
what's
Glenn.
next?
I miss you. Al Renshaw. Violent Night trailer was awesome. It doesn't look great, but hell yeah, I would be lying if I said it wasn't excellent. Felt the same about Fat Man, but loved that movie and seeing Mel Gibson as Santa.
Yeah, that's another recent one that was kind of using
Yeah.
the same trope, right? But you know what? See, that's the thing. You're right about this. See, the trailer, I went from like, we've seen this before, to this trailer's made me go that if it was airing later today, I'd be sitting down to watch it. I would. It looks like it could be funny. As long as you're funny, you got me. All right, what's next?
From Elizabeth Horado, if Dr. Doom is in Wakanda forever, please don't tease him in a trailer. I would have loved to be surprised by Professor X and Doctor Strange too.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, the reality is the first time I saw Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, when Professor X came out, you heard excitement, but you could also tell there weren't a lot of people surprised because the information had just gotten out there. That's where they maybe could have benefited from popping that in the trailer. I think that would have benefited their box office. here's the thing. If they can, for the most part, keep this under wraps and he's in there, yeah. But if it kind of becomes common knowledge, you know what? The reality is at this point, the movie is a month away. It's too late for them to do anything with the marketing for it anyway. So even if everybody finds out tomorrow, like if a 5-minute scene gets put online of showing Doctor Doom, it's too late for them to create trailers for it anyway. So you're probably safe. You're probably safe. All right, what's next?
From Jin the Jedi, Wakanda equals Cap, Namor equals Tony, Riri equals Bucky, and Doom equals Zemo. I bet this is the structure with Doom is manipulating things behind the scenes to be the last one standing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's not a bad comparison. Again, how big Riri Williams' role in this movie is going to be is still a big question mark surrounding this. And again, going into it, I just don't care about the character. I just do not care about Riri Williams. I do not care about Ironheart. Maybe this movie will make me care. We've seen that happen before, and hopefully that'll be the case. But I'm just so locked in on Namor and Wakanda. You know, I'm so locked in on this. I really don't care about the rest of it. If they can make the rest great, awesome. That'll be a bonus. All right, what's next?
From Djovi, reports of Doom being in Black Panther 2 have been around for well over a year. I think Collider published a piece last year.
There's a difference between the rumors and speculation that have gone around regarding Doom possibly being in Black Panther with the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. There were literally articles writing, we have verified sources. I mean, this was like a full year and a half that a number of outlets were reporting, we have verified sources that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are on set of that movie. We can confirm for you that they're there. Now, it took another year before like the footage of Andrew Garfield in front of the green screen. You remember that footage that leaked online in front of the green screen, holding the bar and talking? It was another year before that came out, but still there were a number of outlets that were putting out, we can verify that this is happening. This is a little bit different between some of the stuff that we saw coming out with Wakanda, because I don't recall any of the outlets saying, we can confirm for you that this is happening. So there is a bit of a difference between the two scenarios there. All right, what's next?
From, Chella Galazard, 84. Sorry. Hey, John Campea crew. I wanted to thank y'all for what you do. You make my commute worth it. Keep up the great work. P.S. Andrew Koji for Bond. Ooh.
Andrew Koji wouldn't be a bad one.
That'd be a good one.
I'll tell you what, as bad as Snake Eyes was, that movie made me an even bigger fan of Andrew Koji. I mean, if Warrior wasn't enough to do it, this dude's great. Now, I would still lean towards his Snake Eyes co-star in Henry Golding. But, I mean, yeah, Andrew Koji would be a pretty damn badass Bond. All right, what's next?
From Mr. Graham 91, with Black Adam and Black Panther 2 coming, I've seen that all the IMAX showtimes for my AMC theater are sold out for a week after each movie releases. Any ideas why that would happen?
Well, remember, there's a lot more limited seats with the IMAX theaters, right? And those are going to sell out quick. Now, I got very lucky. I was able to get first screening showings, very, very good seats. You know what we should do? We should see if we can book a theater for a John Campea viewer screening.
That'd be fun.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if
the
anyone's...
Burbank 16, just down the street from Jonathan.
Yeah, like that one won't already be booked. But yeah, we'll look into that today. And if we can do that for either Black Adam, if it's not too late for us to do that for Black Adam or Black Panther, we'll announce it tomorrow. But I'll look into that today. Great idea, John. All right, what's next?
From Stubble McShave, Rob is getting flashbacks from how the Schmodown developed. Ray has started studying movie facts each weekend for the last year. # over under.
The reason why
It's true false to me.
the reason why the guy who literally lives closest to the studio is every day the last one to arrive is actually because he's sitting on the toilet at home studying the art of over
Hey,
under.
that's multitasking.
And
Good
what
for
I
you.
ate last night too. Studying.
Yeah. Good.
All right, what's next?
From Fredo. Welcome. 2 more weeks till UFC 280. Who you got, boss?
I've got Makachev, I've got TJ Dillashaw, I got Sean O'Malley, I've got Dariush, and I've got Fiorot. Those are my main picks on the main card.
Who's
I stand
Dillashaw
by
fighting?
them. So what's that?
Who's Dillashaw fighting? you remember?
TJ Dillashaw?
Yeah.
He's fighting Sterling for the title.
Okay.
Yep. And Sean O'Malley, see, by the way, the Sean O'Malley fight against Peter Yan, that is going to be a barn burner. I think this, Peter Yan, in my head, he is still the champion.
He's too fast, I think.
But this is going to be the fight for Sean O'Malley that will either make him an absolute bona fide superstar in this sport or he'll become another gatekeeper. If he can beat Peter Yan, he will be the next Conor McGregor. He'll be the next Conor McGregor.
Sean O'Malley is very showy. He has a lot of like cool knockouts. He might be more than a gatekeeper. He might be one of their moneymakers that they put in against.
I'm telling you, if he beats Peter Yan,
like a cowboy,
he will start headlining every poster.
Right.
If he beats Peter Yan.
Oh yeah, but
he's got all those tools.
Did you pick him or Yan?
I pick him. I think he's going to do it.
O'Malley?
Yep. I think he's going to shock the world, and I think he's going to become the next Conor McGregor. I really do. All right, what's next?
Going to be the next star of Roadhouse.
That's right.
I feel like I just got off a train in a foreign country where I don't speak the language, and two people are just talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. You'd be lucky we didn't go into Comoros and omoplatas. But anyway, all right, what's next?
Wow. From Andrew Rice. So, talking about Westerns, what are y'all's favorites? I grew up with John Wayne, so The Searchers is one of mine.
It's one of mine too.
I think Unforgiven is the best Western ever made. It's just perfect.
I love Unforgiven too.
Yeah.
Big fan
I
of
love
310
Outlaw
to
Josie
Yuma.
Wales.
If you're talking about the remake,
Yeah.
I love the remake to
I like the
310 to
remake of
Yuma.
310.
I think that's fantastic. I think that's the best Western. I think that's the best Western since Unforgiven. But yeah.
Oh, and
then you-
Tombstone.
Good,
Tombstone's
good, bad,
great.
the ugly. Once Upon a Time in the West, Wild Bunch, Stagecoach,
Blazing Saddles.
High Noon,
Jonesy Wales. All
All Josie Wales. That's coming out in 4K.
right. What's next?
You know what? That was actually it.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That was it.
okay. Well, guys, that'll do it for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us and making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so much for your support. Don't forget, guys, a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time, we're going to be talking about what I think has been the best episode so far, Episode 5 of Andor, and our open spoiler after show. Make sure you guys come back and join us for that. And of course, guys, if you want to help out the channel, click that subscribe button, click the thumbs up button on the video if you don't mind doing that right now. Leave a comment down below. All this stuff helps the channel. So thank you guys so much for that. And don't forget to come back for tomorrow's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, for everybody in the room, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, the wonderful Chris Carr, the reigning over-under champion, Ray Ora.
Rob Beater.
Raining
The
Ray.
Rob Beater.
Rob Beater.
Of course, running the show today, Jonathan Voico. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.